Class 8 Science Chapter 1 Crop Production and Management Animated Science Mr. Bean's Farm. Hey folks, welcome to my farm. I have a big farm and I have grown wheat, rice, pulses, fruits and vegetables on my farm. I will tell you all the tricks and techniques of growing and managing crops. So let's take a trip around my fantabulous farm. Be careful. Picking of fruits or vegetables is strictly prohibited. Let's go to the wheat field first. I have grown wheat crop here. Do you know what a crop is? What is a crop? When plants of the same kind are grown and cultivated at one place on a large scale, it is called a crop. For example, crop of wheat means that all the plants grown in a field are that of wheat. Hey, in my field, I have grown a wheat crop here. Types of crops. The crops we grow are of various types like fruits, vegetables, cereals, pulses, etc. The crops can be classified on the basis of the season in which they grow. On the basis of the season in which they are grown, crops can be classified into the following types. Kharif crops. The crops which are sown in the rainy season are called Kharif crops. The rainy season in India is generally from June to September. Paddy, maize, soya bean, groundnut, cotton, etc. are Kharif crops. Rabi crops. The crops grown in the winter season are called Rabi crops. Their time period is generally from October to March. Examples of Rabi crops are wheat, gram, pea, mustard and linseed. Besides these, pulses and vegetables are grown during summer at many places. Do you know why can paddy not be grown in the winter season? To grow paddy, a lot of water is required. Therefore, it is grown only in the rainy season. Now folks, let me tell you about the various activities involved in crop production. Such activities are called agricultural practices. Agricultural practices for crop production. To ensure a good crop, farmers have to carry out certain activities in a particular sequence till the crops are ready for harvest. These activities are called agricultural practices. Let us learn more about the steps involved in crop production in detail. Preparation of soil, sowing, adding manure and fertilizers, irrigation, protecting from weeds, harvesting and storage. Option 1. Preparation of soil. Soil is the main medium in which plants grow. Plants absorb all the nutrients, water and minerals from the soil. The preparation of soil involves plowing or tilling. Plowing. The process of loosening and turning of the soil is called tilling or plowing. The first step in preparation of soil involves loosening and turning it by the process of tilling or plowing. Loosening of the soil is important because the loose soil has air spaces which help the roots to breathe. The loose soil allows the roots to penetrate deep into the soil. The loose soil helps in the growth of earthworms and microbes present in the soil. The loose soil retains moisture for a longer duration. The loose soil mixes well with manure and absorbs fertilizers more easily. The soil is loosened or tilled by using a plow. Plows are made of wood or iron. If the soil is very dry, it may need watering before plowing. The plowed field may have big pieces of soil called crumbs. It is necessary to break these crumbs with a plank. The field is leveled for sowing as well as for irrigation purposes. The leveling of soil is done with the help of a leveler. Do you know earthworms are called a farmer's best friends? The activity of the earthworms in the soil are important to the farmers in 4 respects, whereby they improve soil structure, mix and till the soil, aid in humus formation, and increase the availability of plant nutrients. Agricultural implements. Tools like plough, hoe, cultivator, etc. needed for the large-scale production of crops are called agricultural implements. Let's learn about these tools in detail. Plough. A plough has been used by the farmers since the ancient times. A plough is made up of a long log of wood called the plough shaft. There is a handle at one end of the shaft. The other end of the shaft is attached to a long wooden beam which is placed on the bullocks' necks. It contains a triangular iron strip called a ploughshare. Animals like bulls, horses or camels are used to pull the plough. The farmers use the plough for various purposes like tilling the soil, adding fertilizers to the crop, removing the weeds, scraping the soil, etc. Hoe. A hoe has a long rod made up of wood or iron. One end of this rod is attached to a strong, broad and bent plate of iron. This blade is used to break up the surface of the ground and destroy weeds. It is pulled by animals like bulls, camels and horses. Cultivator. A cultivator is designed to remove weeds with shallow roots and to break up surface soil near plants for aeration. A cultivator can also be used to mix compost and fertilizer into the soil. A cultivator has metal teeth to break up the soil, is made to be pulled by a tractor. The field cultivator mixes the soil while overturning weeds, killing them but leaving them in the soil to limit soil erosion. Option 2. Selection and sowing of seeds. Selection of good quality healthy seeds before sowing is the most important part of crop production. After the seeds are selected, care must be taken while sowing them. Sowing is the process of placing seeds in the soil. One of the important tasks before sowing seeds is to know about the tools used for sowing. Traditional method of sowing. Tools. Option 3. Adding manure and fertilizers. The fertilizers are added to the soil to increase the fertility of the soil. They are natural or chemical substances which contain one or more nutrients essential for plant growth. Natural fertilizers. An example of natural fertilizer is manure. It is an organic substance derived from plant and animal waste. The plant and animal waste are dumped in pits at open places and allowed to decompose. The decomposition is caused by some microorganisms. The decomposed matter thus obtained is used as organic manure. Manure is the solid or liquid organic matter derived from cow dung, animal waste, and plant residues. The soil becomes very poor in nutrients due to continuous growing of crops. As a result, the farmers have to replenish and revive the soil by adding manure to it. Adding manure to the soil makes the soil rich and fertile again. This process of adding manure to infertile soil to make it rich in nutrients is called manuring. Example, bone meal or crushed bones, neem ki khal or bark of neem, and compost. Compost. Chemical fertilizers. The chemical fertilizers are chemical substances manufactured in the factories. Fertilizers are inorganic substances. Fertilizers are very rich in plant nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Example: NPK fertilizers, that is, fertilizers rich in nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. Some examples of fertilizers are urea, ammonium sulfate, superphosphate, sulfate, etc. NPK, ammonium sulfate, urea. Advantages of manure. Some of the main differences between a fertilizer and a manure are: a fertilizer is a chemical made in factories, whereas manure is organic matter prepared by the farmers in the fields itself. A fertilizer is an inorganic salt, whereas manure is a natural substance obtained by the decomposition of human waste, cattle dung, and plant residues. A fertilizer is very rich in nutrients like potassium, phosphorus, and nitrogen, whereas manure is less rich in such nutrients. A fertilizer does not provide any humus to the soil, whereas manure provides a lot of humus to the soil. Option 3. Irrigation. Seeds sown in the soil require water for their growth. Irrigation refers to the artificial watering of crops. Water requirements differ from crop to crop and season to season. Sources of irrigation. There are many sources of irrigation such as wells, tube wells, ponds, lakes, rivers, dams, and canals. Traditional methods of irrigation. Animals and human labor draw water from wells, canals, lakes, etc. Cattle and human labor are used to lift up water from the wells, lakes, and taken to the fields. These methods are cheaper but less efficient. Moat or pulley system. Moat irrigation system is a manual type of irrigation in which the water is drawn from a well and the plants are irrigated. Chain pump. The chain pump is a type of a water pump in which several circular discs are positioned on an endless chain. One part of the chain dips into the water, and the chain runs through a tube slightly bigger than the diameter of the discs. As the chain is drawn up the tube, water becomes trapped between the discs and is lifted to and discharged at the top. Daily. It is a type of irrigation system in which a man or a woman supplies water to the crops from well, in which that well has a bucket tied on its top. Rahat or lever system. An old system used in villages to draw water from well by using oxen as a main source. Modern methods of irrigation. Modern methods of irrigation help us to use water economically. The main methods used are as follows. Sprinkler system. This system consists of long perpendicular pipes having rotating nozzles on top. These perpendicular pipes are joined to the main pipeline at regular intervals. When water is allowed to flow through the main pipe under pressure with the help of a pump, it comes out through the nozzles. The water gets sprinkled on the crop as if it is raining. This system is more useful on the uneven land where sufficient water is not available. Drip system. Drip irrigation is also known as trickle irrigation. It is an irrigation method that saves water and fertilizer by allowing water to drip slowly to roots of plants, either onto the soil surface or directly to the root zone, through network of valves, pipes, tubes and emitters. It is the best technique for watering fruit plants, gardens and trees. Option 5. Protection from weeds. The undesirable plants that grow along with the crop are called weeds. The removal of weed is called weeding. Weeding is necessary since weeds compete with the crop plants for water, nutrients, space and light. Thus, they reduce the crop produce. Some of the commonly occurring weeds are wild oat, grass, chenopodium, amaranthus. Manual weeding. The best time for the removal of weeds is before they produce flowers and seeds. The manual removal is a process in which the farmers remove the weeds physically by uprooting or cutting them close to the ground from time to time. This is done with the help of a khurpi. Weeding may be done manually or by using certain chemicals called weedicides. Option 6. Harvesting. The cutting and gathering of crop after it is mature is called harvesting. In harvesting, crops are pulled out or cut close to the ground. It usually takes 3 to 4 months for a cereal crop to mature. The harvest period differs from crop to crop. For example, wheat is harvested during the period between November and April. Paddy is harvested during the period between June and September. Threshing. In the harvested crop, the grain seeds need to be separated from the chaff. This process is called threshing. This is carried out with the help of a machine called combine, which is in fact a combined harvester and thresher. Manual threshing. Option 7. Storage. If the crop gains are to be kept for longer time, they should be safe from moisture, insects, rats and microorganisms. The fresh crop has more moisture. Since moisture encourages bacterial growth, it is necessary to ensure that both the grains and storage area are free from moisture. If the seeds that are freshly harvested are not dried properly before storing, they may get attacked by organisms like insect pests, bacteria and fungi. Due to this, the seeds may get spoiled and lose their germination capacity. Hence, it is very important to dry the seeds in the sun in order to remove all the moisture from them. Once the seeds are properly dried in the sun, the farmers store them in jute bags or metallic bins. For storage of large quantities of seeds, silos, granaries or godowns are used. Do you know what is animal husbandry? Animal husbandry. We have just seen that the process of crop production involves a number of steps like selection of seeds, sowing, etc. Similarly, animals reared at home or in farms have to be provided with proper food, shelter and care. When this is done on a large scale, it is called animal husbandry. Hey, wasn't this lesson a big one? Now let me finish with a joke on scarecrows. Why did the scarecrow win the Nobel Prize? Because he was outstanding in his field.